Welcome in, everybody, to the 423 Football Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Bouchard, joined here, finally, by Brett Hamilton.
Hello, Brandon, let me back.
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry for the long hiatus. Obviously, hearing my voice all the time is not the best thing.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, I hate it too. That's why I haven't listened
Just
to the
kidding.
past, 5 of our shows. So,
Just kidding.
But anyway, we are back again, this time doing the Week 3 preview. Hopefully this will be a more enticing episode now that we have both of us in the building. So, Week 3 matchups preview. Again, we're just going to go break down each matchup, give you the coveted starts and sits at the very end, so definitely want to stick around for those. Not much news since we last spoke, which was yesterday, so I guess the only thing maybe Jordan Matthews signing with the Eagles. Do you make anything of that?
That's not news, no.
Hey, I mean...
He's old and broken.
He's not old. He might be broken, but he's definitely not old. I mean,
He's past his time, unfortunately.
I don't know. Yeah, okay, sure. Someone's got to catch the ball down there. It's probably going to be Zach Ertz.
It's going to be Zach Ertz.
He's going to be the benefactor of all those.
And Clement.
Yes, true. So, I guess we'll go back and forth on these matchups. I'll introduce one. You introduce one.
Sure.
Go ahead. Kick it off. Thursday night.
You just want the next one.
Yeah.
All right, Thursday night matchup today is a showdown in Cleveland. Jets versus Browns. Bilal Powell looks good. He's been a competent running back for the Jets, and the Jets have got off to a really good start so far. A pretty good start. Their defense looks formidable. I'm not sure if it's quite as good as people give it credit for. That first game against Detroit just really... Just you can throw all statistics out. I mean, it was just a wild game. Obviously, we talked about earlier this week, Josh Gordon is gone from the Browns. So, in my mind, Antonio Callaway is the benefactor. And also maybe even Duke Johnson, who hasn't really come into his role this year so far. But what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Jarvis Landry, I really don't see his volume changing much from what it has been.
Which has been pretty good.
Yeah, because he's still that dink and dunk kind of guy. Antonio Callaway is going to be the guy that stretches the field.
Yeah.
David Njoku, if he gets... He's been injured the past couple weeks. Not really 100% when he has played. So I expect David Njoku to get involved even more as well. And then, like you said, Duke Johnson. So
it'd be interesting. With Duke Johnson, If there's someone that I need to pick up, I'm willing to drop Duke Johnson at this point after 2 weeks. But I would also really want to hold on to him for just this 1 week just to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask, speaking of just waiver wire acquisitions, Duke Johnson, what is an appropriate, ad that you would what's the lowest player on your mind that you would add over Duke Johnson at the moment? Because I mean, there's a lot of this week was pretty decent in terms of guys you can go out and grab.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. A little bit over. I would rather have at this point I'd rather have Phillip Lindsay. I'm not totally on that ship yet, but he's getting the volume. He's getting more volume than Duke Johnson, and he's the pass catcher.
Top 5 in rushing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'd still rather have Corey Clement right now.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm trying to think of someone who's really borderline that I'd really have to think about, but I can't think of who all wouldn't be owned.
Austin Eckler, maybe.
I think that would be a good one.
Or Buck Allen. Buck Allen.
I'd rather have Buck Allen.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'd rather have Eckler than Johnson, but I'd rather have Johnson than Allen.
And that's fair. I mean, those are pretty close. I think I'm closer with Eckler. Buck Allen, it's still just a combination of the worries I had for Alex Collins coming into the season, where they just might not give him the ball. And Buck Allen has looked good through 2 weeks. He can catch the ball. He adds that value in any sort of PPR format. I guess it's a little bit closer, but I'd probably still take both of those guys. Eckler's he's just a wild card to me, though. It's like, why is he good? Why is he getting the ball?
Lindsey, at least they don't really have an idea of who their premier running back is. Chargers
Right.
do. They got Melvin Gordon.
There's no
and
question.
then Eckler comes out and has big games like this. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a different monster there.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But that would probably be my borderline. So, do you think the Browns go 1-1-1 on Thursday night?
I think they have a good chance. I think, again, I mean, you can't have much closer games than what they've had to start the year.
Yeah.
But I do think that Jets defense is going to cause some problems. I think the Jets actually move the ball well with Darnold and Bilal Powell and get those wide receivers going. So I'm gonna still say Jets. I don't think the Browns are going to win this week.
Unfortunately, I'm going to go the same. I want to see the Browns win a game, but I really do think that the Jets have a pretty solid defense. Even though they did have that kind of whack game against
I think it's going to be very
Lions.
low scoring.
Yeah, I can see that, but if it is low scoring, just like I think it would end up in a close call, kind of like the Saints game ended up. So I still think they take the loss.
Yeah. All right, next matchup, we got the Packers and the Redskins. Aaron Jones back from suspension, expected to be the third guy initially in the backfield. I expect him to move up as the game and season progresses. Obviously,
you definitely can't start him this week, though.
No,
Not with that news.
I don't like players coming off of suspensions or injury unless their name is like Ezekiel Elliott or Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
But again, I think Aaron Jones will see a lot of work in this offense eventually.
Yeah.
Still, the thing we're going to be monitoring every single week is Aaron Rodgers and his knee. I fully expect him to be out there every single week unless something major happens. But again, something we got to monitor. Again, I don't think it's going to hurt his fantasy value at all.
That's kind of the reason I still lean towards Jamal Williams, especially for the next few weeks, is because he's really good in pass protection, and they need him on the field.
Very true. Same with Ty Montgomery.
If they're going to be throwing the ball, they need to have him protected. And Aaron Jones is a good running back, but he doesn't quite live up to par with Jamal Williams or Ty Montgomery with the pass block, what they need to keep Aaron Rodgers healthy for the next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I expect the Packers wide receivers, I expect them to move the ball pretty effectively. Devontae Adams, I assume, is going to be matched up with Josh Norman.
Yeah, it'll be tough.
It's going to be a tough matchup, but Devontae Adams has really, honestly, in the past couple weeks and even last year, he's shown that he can actually go up against these number one corners. He's done it against Xavier Rhodes on multiple occasions. Darius Slay. He's gone up against premier corners. Norman's going to be one of the shorter corners he faces in the league, so that's definitely. I'm not too worried about that matchup.
No, it may be a reason to kind of temper expectations, but I don't think he'll have a problem with getting his fantasy points in.
Yeah, especially in the end zone. If he gets in the end zone, you're good.
Yep.
On the Redskins side of the ball. Redskins have had a very up and down couple of weeks to start the season. But what do you expect out of the Redskins this week, just from a fantasy perspective? Because in week one, we saw him come out. Adrian Peterson was relevant. Alex Smith was somewhat relevant. Jordan Reed even got a few balls.
Yeah.
Chris Thompson, obviously, I think he's going to be the most effective guy this season. Yeah. But then they come out week two. Everything changes. They look nothing like they were in week one. Adrian Peterson was a dud. So this week, what do you think?
I don't think this week lines up well for Adrian Peterson. I think the Packers are going to be able to score enough points to keep the Redskins to keep them kind of aggressive in their play calling, and I think that benefits Chris Thompson more. So I'm fine with Chris Thompson this week. If one of the running backs is going to score, I think it would probably be on like a bust play from Chris Thompson rather than them driving all the way down the field and getting a goal line rush with Adrian Peterson, for example. Jordan Reed, he's a really good player. It's hard to sit him, I know. I'm kind of borderline with him. The Packers have shown that they're better against the tight end this year than they were last year. Last year, it wouldn't be a big question how to play the tight end because that was one of the points of the defense that was kind of a weak spot for him. But this year, I like the look of the defense a little bit better. Alex Smith, what do you do with him? I don't know.
2 quarterback leagues, sure, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because he has the propensity to, throw a long bomb or dump off to Chris Thompson and let him run for a lot of yards. So, in 2 quarterback leagues, yeah. And 1 quarterback leagues, I'm probably looking at another streamer, probably. in this matchup. But yeah, that's probably all I got. I mean, I'm not super excited about the wide receiver options. The wide receiver options are so up and down.
Yeah, I agree.
If I'm going to go with the pass catching option for the Redskins, it's going to be Jordan Reed or Chris Thompson.
Yeah, definitely. You know who I'm picking? Who you got?
Packers. Yeah, I got the Packers winning.
Awesome. Yeah, go for the next one.
This is a good one. Saints versus Falcons. This is home teams on the right. Did you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if it was just random.
I need to start putting at instead of versus.
I thought they were in Atlanta, but I wasn't sure.
I need to start putting at in the notes instead of versus.
Yeah, that would be good. But Saints in Atlanta versus the Falcons. This is going to be a really good divisional game. I always like watching these two teams play each other. Both of the offenses look really, really good. Both the defenses look like I don't know how well I would. Even the Saints. I don't think the Saints just automatically went off to they're a terrible defense this year, but they've definitely got to work some things out to get back to the level that they were playing at last year. Devonta Freeman, if he misses, which I expect it, Tevin Coleman, you have to start him. This is why people draft Tevin Coleman. You can flex him even when Devonta Freeman is playing, and you live for moments like this. Devonta Freeman's not going to miss the whole year. So while Devonta Freeman's out, you have to play Tevin Coleman if you have him. And especially if we've seen a lot of people have running back issues right now with Joe Mixon going down and other injuries impacting it. Tevin Coleman is 100%. You go. Calvin Ridley, first NFL touchdown last week. It was a good one.
Definitely a bounce back from week 1 where he saw no targets.
Yeah. So it's hard for me. In a perfect world, I would like to just say that he is the number 2 opposite to Julio Jones. I don't know if he's quite there yet. I mean, he did have a good week last year, or not last year. A good week last week. But this is another matchup where I think I'd play him. The Saints defense, they haven't looked good against the long ball. Calvin Ridley's fast. He's big. He's on the bigger side. I think he could have another fantasy relevant game. I'd be perfectly fine flexing him. Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. I don't really have to say much.
Well, all you can say is basically those are the only 2 guys doing anything on that Saints offense at the moment.
Yes.
Drew Brees, I mean, hit or miss.
Yeah.
He's obviously not the passing just guru monster like we saw over the past decade, really. So
he is having to pass the ball more with Mark Ingram out, though.
Yes.
And that is very much beneficial to Michael Thomas because, man, do they have chemistry.
Yeah,
it's just incredible.
Speaking of Mark Ingram, if you're an owner out there and someone has him that on their bench, obviously, and they're like 0-2 and they need a win right now, go and try to trade for Mark Ingram because he's going to be back in 2 weeks, and I guarantee you he's going to have the same role as he did last year. He's going to put up top 10 numbers.
If someone, the scenario I was thinking about today is if someone is 0-2, they have Le'Veon Bell or David Johnson who's not performing, or who is the running back I just said earlier?
Mark Ingram?
No, not well. Yeah, and Mark Ingram like on their bench. Joe Mixon. If they have like one of those players, they're 0-2. They need to win now to be competitive. That would be who I would definitely target Mark Ingram because I still think he's going to be heavily involved in the offense, just like he was last year.
Yeah, definitely.
I have got the. This one's really tough, but I think the Falcons are going to come away with it.
Yeah, I got the Falcons at home too. I think the Saints they need to fix something on that defense.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Saints' offense at all. They're going to score points, but their defense, I don't know. It definitely doesn't look as good as it did last year.
Yeah, we're agreeing on a lot of these, I believe. Have we disagreed yet? No, we haven't.
Oh, yeah, we both picked the Jets. I thought we might disagree on that one.
Yeah,
but.
nah. Still rolling the Jets. Oh, yeah. Next matchup, we got the Colts and the Eagles. Carson Wentz is back. Eagles, however, are still hurting in the injury department. J.J. is going to most likely be out. Alshon Jeffrey's still out. Mike Wallace is done for the year. Again, we were talking about Jordan Matthews being signed, but Zach Ertz, Corey Clement, should have monster games here. I fully expect that to happen. Colts defense is nothing to fear at the moment.
Now, you could have just stopped at nothing. They are nothing.
They are nothing. Nelson Aguilar, I think, is an okay play as well. But again, I think Ertz and Corey Clement are going to have a ton of work in this game, especially with Carson Wentz back in the offense. On the Colts side of the ball, are you touching any of those Colts running backs?
No, not right now. Until things smooth out, it's just a monster right now. Marlon Mack doesn't look good. I mean, if you have to go with any of them, you have to go with Wilkins. And that's really sad. Marlon Mack is the most talented. He's just not performing well.
I really like all three of those backs. It's just, again, it's cluttered at the moment.
Yeah.
I think one might eventually break out and they start rolling with him.
I still think it's going to be Mack, but he's got to show something. I mean, he's got to show something that he's more than just a spark player.
They have three guys that are pretty similar in how they play the game, so it's going to be very interesting. Obviously,
I can't trust. I mean, I at this point, I can't trust any of them now.
Yeah. T.Y. Hilton. I mean, you're rolling him out there. He's definitely that home run hitting wide receiver you want.
Yeah.
Now in this game, Luck and Wentz. Are you willing to start either of them? Wentz coming off the injury, Luck kind of performing meh, and the Eagles' defense being pretty stout.
I would. I don't think so. I'm definitely. We might get to that later, but I'm definitely not playing Andrew Luck against this defense. It's going to be a tough matchup. Wentz. I don't know. I think there's a lot of other options that I'd like to play over him. I say that, and then I think they're playing the Colts.
He could have a big week.
Honestly, no, I'm going to change my mind. I think because they have been, when I think about it, they've been so careful, and they have treated his injury so well. Like he was throwing at months ago. I mean, he's been okay. They're just taking it slow and being smart about his injury. They're not rushing him back. So I think he really is going to be 100%. And so, I would play Carson Wentz against the Colts.
All right, I got you. I got the Eagles in this one at home.
I also have the Eagles. Yep. So this one is going to be a short segment. Bills versus the Vikings. All I can say is there's not a single Bill I would start in this matchup, and there's not a single Viking that I would not start in this matchup. Almost really, really tongue twisted. I mean, you have to expect big things from all the wide receivers off. You have to expect, Dalvin Cook, even Latavius Murray. If it is just an absolute blowout, Latavius Murray is just going to be running it for the fourth quarter. So even he, I mean, that sounds risky, but I wouldn't mind playing him in a flex position if I had to, especially with with the other running back situations. The Bills, man, they just look terrible. I mean, you can't play Shady at this point. It's sad.
I've been saying that since the beginning.
Yeah,
beginning of the year.
I definitely didn't draft Shady, but if you did, this is the point where this is the game for sure that you can't play him.
Yeah, and even if he sits because of the rib injury, Chris Ivory, you can't start him.
Oh yeah, I forgot about and I even forgot about the rib injury.
That Vikings defensive line is going to obliterate the offensive line of the Bills. It's going to be very, very ugly.
It's just not gonna. It's gonna be bad. Josh Allen might as well just snap the ball to himself without any line, and it would be the exact same outcome. He's not gonna have a single time. He's gonna be running for his life. He's gonna get sacked 100 times. It's just gonna be bad. And I'm sorry for all the Bills fans out there.
Just watch. This is gonna be the 1 week where the Bills turn things around.
Yeah.
Every Vikings player just puts up goose eggs.
All the contrarian players are going to start all their Bills, and they're going to win their weeks.
Yeah, Kelvin Benjamin's going to have 3 touchdowns.
Oh
Josh Allen's going to throw for 3, run for 2. It's going to be just stupid. But anyway, I'm taking the Vikes.
After all that, I think I'll probably take the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, definitely. Next matchup we got is the Raiders and the Dolphins. Dolphins surprisingly 2-0. While the Raiders can't get the Gruden era going with an 0-2 start. Kenyon Drake on the Dolphins side. Kenyon Drake, I believe, is a very solid play here. He's been involved in the offense both weeks. Again, maybe not the touchdown threat, but he's definitely getting more and more involved. Tannehill's getting more comfortable throwing to him out of the backfield, so I really like Kenyon Drake this week.
Yes.
On the Raiders side of the ball, I expect Amari Cooper to have just kind of a so-so week.
Well, it makes sense since he had a good week last week.
Well, yeah, he's got it. Yeah, up and down, definitely. But that Dolphins defense, especially the secondary, is better than people think. Minka Fitzpatrick, the rookie, and Xavier Howard. I mean, they have good cornerbacks.
Yeah. I
think one of those guys will be on Amari Cooper at some point in the game. Right. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a tough week for him. I don't want to touch Marshawn Lynch or Derek Carr. Really, there's just too many problems and issues there. I haven't seen consistency out of either player.
No.
The one Raider I am okay with starting is Jared Cook.
I think Jared Cook is a really good, especially in this tight end landscape that we have found ourselves in this year. Jared Cook is a good play. I like that a lot.
Especially I know we switched to half-point PPR this year, and that really has proven beneficial to Jared Cook. I mean, he's getting a lot of targets. Derek Carr is really looking towards him. Again, I mean, he led that team in receiving yards last year, so why can't he do it again?
Yeah, he definitely. I mean, he's got the rapport. So
yeah,
I have got the Raiders winning.
I got Dolphins.
Yeah, that's a good one.
First switcheroo.
Yeah,
I've
got Gruden getting his. This is one of the close game. I think it'll be a close game, but I think the Raiders actually do get their first win.
All right, I got you.
The next matchup, we got the Broncos versus the Ravens in Baltimore. This might be a dogfight. I mean, this might be a very defense-heavy game. The Ravens have looked fantastic on defense. The Broncos' defense, it's still very good. We haven't seen either of these teams play a defense of either of these calibers, so it's going to be a different ball game for both teams. That being said, do you think it's going to be? Do you have to worry about the players on either side of the ball if you think it's going to be? I mean, you may think it's going to be high scoring, but I think it's going to be kind of a low scoring affair. So do you worry about? Do you base some of those start-sit decisions based on the defense that they're playing?
I'm more worried about the running backs in this game than the wide receivers because I think both teams are going to have at least one wide receiver have a decent week. I think John Brown can have a decent week for the Ravens. On the Broncos side of the ball, Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas. Pick one or the other. I don't really have a preference at the moment. I really like both of them. It's just...
I like both. This week, I like Emmanuel Sanders quite a bit more because he has, through 2 weeks, he's proven to be Case Keenum's go-to target. And in a game that I think is going to be pretty low scoring, I would want to lean on the safer target option in Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, I will say in this game, I definitely would rather have Phillip Lindsay over Royce Freeman, and I would rather have Buck Allen over Alex Collins. So, just those guys that can get on the perimeter and make plays out of the backfield.
Yeah, I think Buck Allen's a good play this week, and he was one of those waiver wire targets this week for a lot of people. So, who do you have winning?
I got the Broncos.
I also have the Broncos. Yep. It's gonna be tough though. It's gonna be tough.
Well, I expect a good game there.
Yeah, that would be a good game.
All right, Bengals versus the Panthers. Bengals look like a much improved team so far this season. Obviously, Joe Mixon is still going to be out. Gio Bernard, he's the next guy up. Might be a little bit of a tougher matchup for the running backs in this game on both sides of the ball, really. But I still expect Gio to have a good amount of touches in this game as well. So the production might be down, but the volume should still be there. I expect good games from Tyler Boyd and A.J. Green. I don't think the secondary for that Panthers defense is that formidable. Again, they're much more of a run-stopping, pass-rush team than they are a coverage team. So Tyler Boyd, A.J. Green, no problem starting them. On the Panthers side of the ball, Christian McCaffrey, he's going to continue to get this volume. That's what's really elevating his game at the moment, which is, it's good. I will say in PPR, if there's one player right now that has a vastly different PPR number compared to standard number, it's Christian McCaffrey. It's like 10-point swings every single game. So that's a big deal. But as long as he keeps getting this volume, it's going to be very nice. The touchdowns will be just a cherry on top when he does score. Mm-hmm. Who do you got winning this one?
I have got the Panthers.
Panthers, I got the Bengals. I think the Bengals keep going. I really like what they're putting together at the moment.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I would be happy if the Bengals won. Division rival and the Panthers, but the next matchup is another interesting matchup. I'm liking all of my matchups. If this was just a 1-on-1, I think I'd be winning. Giants versus Texans. I think this is going to be an interesting game. I think we're going to see different looks from both. These are both offenses that are meant to be good, but they're not really yet.
Very disappointing.
Through the first 2 weeks, both offenses, if you look at the Giants, it's star-studded. Everything seems to be just in place for them to be a high-powered offense, but Eli Manning's just not getting it done.
That offensive line isn't getting it done.
Well, I will say that. I don't want to put everything on Eli Manning because I think he takes the brunt of most of it. He is running for his life in almost every snap. And just like his brother, he is not meant to run. He's a pocket passer, and he's not. And the pocket is just collapsing so fast that he can't get the ball out in time. And it's dipping the fantasy production for Evan Ingram, Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, Saquon Barkley. All four of those guys, highly touted players, all dependent on the passing game. So I think that they're going to have to do something to protect Manning, and I think that I don't know what that looks like. I don't know.
It's not going to be fun going up against J.J. Watt in this game.
No, exactly, and they have to know that going in. So I don't know what they're going to do to protect him from that. But if they don't do anything, and it's just like weeks 1 and 2, he's going to get demolished every single play. And the Texans and there's a lot of expectations on Deshaun Watson coming off of an ACL injury, second year. Unfortunately, he built up such a high pedigree last year that it's tough for people to take like a normal game from him. You know what I mean?
They can't let that go.
No, they can't let it go. That being said, the Giants' defense is not great. So, do you have any hesitation starting your Texans players?
Not really. I'm excited about pretty much all fantasy relevant Texas players. I know there's not that many right now. There's not really a tight end out there you'd want. There's not really a wide receiver outside of Hopkins and Fuller. But yeah, rolling those two guys out there. Lamar Miller, I'm all in on Lamar Miller this year, as I am most years.
Yes.
And then Deshaun Watson, again, I think you keep rolling him out there. I know he's put up some just meh performances so far this season, but
you know his potential.
Oh yeah,
and this is a defense that's beatable. So
definitely.
If you're gonna roll him out, you have him. I'd say do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Who do you have winning?
Texans.
I also have the Texans. Yep.
All right, Titans and Jaguars. Are you starting any Titans in this game? Marcus Mariota might not play.
You can't.
If he does play, then
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't.
It just doesn't matter.
Zero faith, no faith in the Titans.
No, they've been so wishy-washy. Like, they want Marcus Mariota to play so bad, and even though he's been so mediocre when he does play, he's just not taking that next step. It's very similar situation to Jameis Winston. They want him to be good so bad, but he just can't get to the next level. And the Jaguars coming off a win against New England is not a start that I want to make. If Blaine Gabbert starts, I mean, this isn't even a question. Like, you can't play anybody.
Yeah.
No Deion Lewis, no Derrick Henry.
I don't think you can play either of them at the moment right now. Anyway, so
no, I mean, I sat Derrick Henry last week, and it turned out to be. I mean, I still lost, but I mean, it turned out to be the right choice.
Titans feel like what the Bengals were last year. They don't have an identity right now in terms of what they want to do with they don't have an identity of. Do we want to run the ball here? Do we want to pass the ball here? They don't have an identity of, hey, do we want Derrick Henry to pound the rock here or Deion Lewis being the guy going stretching the field? So it's
and then the cherry on top is, hey, our quarterback's not really healthy.
or good.
or that good at the moment. Yeah. So I don't have faith in any Titans players. I'm not playing Corey Davis. No,
I'm not.
There's no way.
Heck no.
Jalen Ramsey is going to eat whatever quarterback.
That might be an interesting or a sneaky matchup to watch, just intriguing matchup to watch, I should say. I think Corey Davis is going to be because he's the real deal.
Yeah.
Again, he doesn't really have the quarterback rapport that he needs to thrive.
Yeah.
And I think that might get a little chippy with him and Jalen Ramsey. So that's the main reason I find that really intriguing.
That would be good. I think it's going to be. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. But I definitely have the Jaguars here.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't even talk about the Jaguars players. But,
I guess so. I was just going to go all out.
You jump to conclusions here.
I know.
But yeah, Leonard Fournette still dealing with an ankle injury at the moment. I'm kind of leaning towards the fact that he's not going to play in this game. I think they're going to try to avoid rushing him back, especially with this lighter matchup here with the Titans. T.J. Yeldon, Corey Grant, decent plays.
Man, Corey Grant looked good last week.
Yeah, he did. T.J. Yeldon did too. He didn't.
Yeah.
Obviously,
it's just the pass catching. Corey Grant is so good in the flats. It's insane.
Yeah, definitely. Now the Jags wide receivers, D.D. Westbrook, Dante Moncrief, Keelan Cole. Who would you rather have out of those three, or rank them, I should say?
I'm still gonna rank Keelan Cole at number 1. I'm going to say Dante Moncrief at number 2 and D.D. Westbrook at number 3. And it's hard because I was really high on D.D. coming in, but Keelan Cole has looked phenomenal. I mean, he's making great catches. Blake Bortles is looking his way often. Dante Moncrief looks good. I mean,
he's the touchdown guy.
Yeah, and we know he's good. I mean, we've seen him be good before. D.D. Westbrook is still up and coming. I think it's going to take him a little while. But if I had to pick one out of those 3 players to start, it'd definitely be Keelan Cole.
Yeah, I got the Jaguars as well.
Yeah, shocking. 49ers at the Kansas City Chiefs. This will be an interesting matchup. Jimmy Garoppolo against Patrick Mahomes. 7 touchdowns for Mahomes? Is that what we're predicting?
Roughly. It can only go up, right?
Yeah, give or take 1 or 2. But the Chiefs have looked great. I mean, no one can deny what Patrick Mahomes has done in the first 2 weeks. That being said, it's technically unsustainable.
Technically.
But do you think this is an offense that is kind of similar to the way Tyreek Hill operates and Alvin Kamara operate, where you just can't look at statistics. They don't make sense on paper, but they just keep doing things. Do you think that's kind of how the Chiefs are going to be going forward? I keep saying that they can't sustain it, but maybe they just do. And it doesn't make any sense.
I will say Patrick Mahomes he's caught me off guard. I didn't think he was going to come out
I didn't think he was going to be that
we
good.
knew the arm strength, but the accuracy along with that.
Dude, that rocket to Travis Kelce. I mean, I almost couldn't even see the ball. That was the hardest pass I think I've ever seen.
And defenders clearly can't either. I mean, some of those passes are just, can't guard them. You really can't.
It's just too hard. I mean, I agree wholeheartedly that he has surprised me probably more than any player this season.
Yeah, definitely.
On the plus side. So, looking at the 49ers side, so what are they doing to kind of counteract the devastating loss of Jerick McKinnon? Matt Breida is the NFL leading rusher. That's what they're doing to counteract it.
I love that. I love that.
That makes no sense. It's just every single zero RB strategy person out there is just laughing so hard.
That's a me. That's a me.
Yeah, because they look at the top rushers, Matt Breida, Phillip Lindsay, and they're like, you can keep your
you can keep your David Johnson. You can keep your Ezekiel Elliott. I don't care.
Yeah, well, I was going to say you can keep your Todd Gurley, but I actually will keep Todd Gurley.
Yeah. You can keep Todd Gurley.
But you can keep your David Johnson for sure. But it's so what do you think about Matt Breida in this matchup?
Again, I think it's sustainable just because Matt Breida is so diverse in how they use him. He's a Chris Thompson type player. Mm-hmm. I think even if the Niners are down, they're going to force feed Breida as well. Yeah. a playmaker, and I think even in this tough matchup, Chiefs. I shouldn't say tough matchup, fantasy wise, because that defense for the Chiefs isn't that outstanding.
No,
but
the Chiefs' defense is definitely beatable.
Yeah. I expect.
But is their offense beatable? I don't know.
That not. Well, 49ers aren't going to slow them down. I can tell you that much.
No, definitely not. George Kittle, another interesting guy. In this, we've got a very weird landscape of tight ends this year. George Kittle seems to be a focal point of the offense. They want to get him the ball, and like I just said, the Chiefs' defense isn't fantastic. So, what do you think about George Kittle this week?
I mean, as long as they keep throwing to him, as long as Jimmy Garoppolo has eyes for him, he's going to see a good amount of fantasy production, and I expect that to continue in this game as well.
Yeah, and especially if the Chiefs are putting up 17 touchdowns a game, they're going to have to throw the ball a lot on the 49ers side of the ball.
Yeah, definitely.
I have the Chiefs winning.
Yep, got the
home,
Chiefs.
Definitely.
Chargers versus the Rams. Battle of L.A. between two very good teams here. I mean, you got Melvin Gordon going up against Todd Gurley, Phillip Rivers versus Jared Goff. I mean, you got pretty good wide receiver cores here. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Tyrell Williams going up against Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Brandon Cooks. I mean, it's just home run hitters left and right, studs for fantasy matchups.
I'm going to love this game.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome to watch.
It really is. Now, I will say, both teams have pretty good defenses. Rams, a much better defense, I should say, than the Chargers, however.
Yeah.
Are you worried at all about the Rams' defense shutting down the Chargers?
Not shutting down. They'll give them fits for sure. I would temper expectations for the wide receivers. I'm not tempering expectations for Melvin Gordon as much. He's just so versatile. They spread him out so far that I don't think there's any reason to really worry about him. But for guys like Keenan Allen, it might not be the greatest week of all time because the Rams, I mean, I really think the Rams are the real deal. I mean, I do too. They're a really good team.
They're scary good.
On both sides of the ball, it's like in the offseason, every week I was like, they have to have some sort of cheat code for unlimited money. It's like that one cheat code you put into Grand Theft Auto that just unlocks everything. And that is what they've done on both sides of the ball. I don't know how they do it, but Phillip Rivers, I don't know about that one. That's one of my biggest questions.
I think him and Goff.
I like Phillip Rivers a lot this year.
I like Goff too.
Yeah, and Goff has been great, but I don't know if I'm. Every time I see Phillip Rivers starting in a lineup, I start sweating this week, and I don't know what to do about it because I'm not confident enough to sit him, but I'm also really worried about his production this week.
Yeah,
I could definitely see an interception coming his way for sure.
Yeah, I definitely expect him to throw a pick.
I think he's going to be sacked a couple of times.
But I do believe him and Goff have very similar games here in terms of fantasy numbers. So I'm not really swayed one side or the other in that regard. However, I'm taking the Rams at home. I think that defense is going to, again, like you said, cause problems for the Chargers.
Yeah, and are you starting all the Rams wide receivers against the Chargers defense?
No.
But which ones?
Yes and no.
See, that's where I was at because I was like, I can't start Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, Todd Gurley. I can't start all of those players. Which one do you bank on?
I still like what Kupp and Woods bring to the table in terms of touchdowns. Right. I know it's hard to predict. I think Brandon Cooks, again, last week, he really got going in the offense. But still, I don't think it's going to be up and down, even more so than we've seen in the past with him with the Patriots and the Saints. So, I mean, this week, he could put up a goose egg.
Yeah, because they don't need him to win.
No.
I mean, if he's hot one game like he was last week.
I don't know, that was eye-opening right there. That is the perfect way to explain Brandon Cooks for any team that he's ever been on. They don't need him to win whatsoever. That's okay. That I figured out how to identify Brandon Cooks. That's a great way to put it.
You've identified him as useless. No, he provides. Well, we saw it last week. If he's hot and he's catching everything, and the defensive back just can't keep up with him, just throw him the ball and he'll catch it and he'll have a great game. But if it's not a favorable matchup, the defensive back is giving him fits and he's not getting that separation that he needs, then they'll just throw it to Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and be fine.
Yeah, and well, Chargers have a very good defense.
Yeah.
Not again, like I said, not as good as the Rams.
They've struggled,
but
they've struggled more than I thought they would this year. But I think they're still going to figure it out.
They're still waiting on Joey
Bosa.
Bosa. Melvin
That's
Ingram
huge.
had a really good week last week. Casey Hayward's one of the best corners in the league. Desmond King. Derwin James. They got young guys.
Derwin James looks good.
Yeah, those are guys that can they're playmakers, and they can shut down guys like Brandon Cooks.
Yep. I also have I don't know if I said that. I also have the Rams. I think they're a pretty good team.
Great analysis.
Yeah. Cowboys and Seahawks. Oh, this kind of makes me sad to talk about. The Cowboys, they're disappointing, and the Seahawks are also disappointing. It's going to be an interesting game to see how it all folds out. Tyler Lockett, I think that is a good play this week. The Cowboys defense still isn't strong. They still have a lot of work to do on the defensive side of the ball. They also have a lot of work to do on the offensive side of the ball, which leads me to say I'm still not starting any Cowboys wide receiver. And I don't know how you feel about it, but
100%.
I just can't bank on any of them. Alan Hearns, one catch for 9 yards last week.
Tavon Austin had a freak ball touchdown.
And you can't predict any of that.
Literally doubled his wide receiver or his yardage for his career. But yeah, I like Lockett in this game. I think he's becoming the new go-to target, especially with Baldwin out at the moment. Will Dissly, I think, is a deep tight end play in this one.
Yeah, in a deep league, I like that. He was only relevant last week because of the last 15 seconds of the game. But that's what you get when you get the Seahawks, who are obviously going to be playing
Russell Wilson. Now that they're over the past couple of years, their defense has kind of deteriorated.
Yeah,
and Russell Wilson has been one of the kings at those garbage time scenarios.
Yeah, so. and I think there's no reason that won't continue. I don't know about it this game because I'm pretty confident that the Seahawks are better than the Cowboys. But that being said, I think Ezekiel Elliott has a good game.
Yeah, I think Zeke's basically the only Cowboy you can start, and not that you want to start him in every scenario. This is not too bad. This is going to be a decent matchup for Zeke, but you kind of have to start him just because of where you drafted him.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But I think the Seahawks can still stop him, but I just don't see the Cowboys having a lot of success through the air, and it's just going to force feed Zeke. Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of his production is going to come from.
Yeah, I got the Seahawks in this one.
I do have the Seahawks, yeah.
All right, Bears and Cardinals. Bears, like the 49ers, very close to really breaking through to that next level and becoming one of the, I wouldn't say elite teams, but better teams in the NFL. Jordan Howard, I think, is a must start here. Mm-hmm. I think they're
one of my favorite plays this week.
They're really, really liking him moving forward, and I expect him to get even more carries than he has been. Yeah. Trey Burton, decent play. Again, I expect him to struggle a little bit between the 20s, but I do believe he's going to be one of the biggest red zone threats in this game for the Bears. Allen Robinson going up against Patrick Peterson. Are you worried there?
Not really. Mitch Trubisky really likes Allen Robinson, and I like that a lot. And I think he's going to – Patrick Peterson is fantastic. I mean, he's like one of the very, very few bright spots in this whole Cardinals team. But I think that Allen Robinson is just going to be targeted so much more than the other wide receivers that I don't think he's going to have a great game, but I'm probably not going to stream or move up some third option from another team up in my lineup above him. But that being said, I mean, Patrick Peterson's just really good, and I don't have a whole lot of faith in Mitch Trubisky, but this is a very, very favorable matchup, and as good as Patrick Peterson is, he can't put the entire defense on his back. So
Yeah.
I'm not hesitating in playing Allen Robinson.
On the Cardinals side of the ball, that Bears defense is, we've seen what they've been doing the past couple weeks. Khalil Mack is just unstoppable at the moment. Cardinals offense can't seem to move whatsoever. The offensive line is bad. Sam Bradford, I think, needs to just take a seat.
Yes.
Are you starting any Cardinals? And by any Cardinals, I mean any Cardinals. That includes David Johnson.
That is like one of the most painful questions I've ever had to answer. Because
it's a painful question to ask.
I absolutely love David Johnson, but they are not using him correctly. He's not running half as many routes as he was in 2016. They're just inept in almost everything offensively. there's no bright spot, and at this point, I'm wondering why they keep rolling with Sam Bradford. It doesn't get much worse.
It's Rosen time, baby. It is time,
and it's
time for the best rookie quarterback.
It is so weird because I also believe that Josh Rosen is the best rookie quarterback, but if Sam Bradford tanks this game, there is no excuse for not putting Rosen in. By halftime, if they're down 30 points, you're putting Rosen in. You have to. And that would be interesting to watch to see how he operates in the offense, who his favorite targets are, how that affects Larry Fitzgerald, how that affects David Johnson.
I will say I don't believe this is the best game to put Rosen in. Just because the Bears are going. We've seen what they're doing. It's not going to be pretty. I expect the Bears to have their way with them, especially on defense.
Khalil Mack may have like 14 sacks this game, and he will always be in the backfield at the very least.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's not a good way to start your rookie quarterback. I do agree with that. All of that being said, I don't think that unless you're just stacked at the running back position, I don't think you can afford to sit David Johnson. It's
going to be hard to.
But
I don't expect him to be even a top 15 option this week.
If you were all into running backs and like first, second, third pick were running backs, I could see a situation where you could maybe do that. But
what's the line here? Like, Lamar Miller or David Johnson?
Lamar Miller.
See, that's pretty far down. I feel like
that's pretty. But I like Lamar Miller a lot this week, though.
Yeah, Corey Clement or David Johnson this week.
Man, I really like Corey Clement this week because, if Jay sits, Corey Clement.
I expect him to.
Yeah, and if Jay plays, then David Johnson, because they just brought up someone from the practice squad. If it's Corey Clement and someone from the practice squad, Corey Clement is an absolute 100% start this week.
Yeah, I agree. Matt Breida or David Johnson.
Oh, man. What does this world come to?
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm going to throw up. I can't even answer that.
I didn't really process what I said, but now that I have,
I can't even. I can't.
Because you're kind of leaning Breida.
Kind of.
I am, too. I don't get it.
Nah.
I really don't get it, but I kind of am. Especially, it's the matchup. It's just a perfect storm of just crap for the Cardinals.
Well, yes, Matt Breida is the leading rusher in the NFL. David Johnson is a far better running back than David Johnson.
Yeah, we're not disputing that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, but it's because the whole offensive play and they're playing the Bears. It would be very hard for me to start David Johnson this week.
Well, there we go. We found it.
Unfortunately realizing.
I think we both have the Bears, as I expect this conversation has led to.
I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patriots and Lions. This is a Sunday night football game. Bill Belichick versus Matt Patricia.
That is not a matchup at all.
No, it is not a matchup. The Lions have looked odd. They don't look correct.
Nothing but the best here, folks.
Whatever they're doing is not right. Matt Stafford hasn't looked like Matt Stafford. They're still an offense that wants to run the ball, but they can't figure out how to do it. Kerryon Johnson, I don't know. I don't know what your opinion is, but Kerryon Johnson to me looks like the clear-cut best running back on that team. They just keep not using him.
I do believe he is the future of that team in terms of running the ball. What I want to know, and I think this is part of their struggles, they haven't used Theo Riddick hardly at all. He was a big part of the offense for the past 5 years. He's the reason they can move the ball when they're in those passing situations, because a lot of,
especially passing,
you got to clear out to cover him. You got to have linebackers or even corners on Theo Riddick at times, and they usually could have moved the ball well with him in the lineup. So that's been very peculiar. Again, I still think the Lions are very close to going back to what they were in the latter part, or the former part of this decade, which is a very bad team. That defense is not what it used to be. They've lost a lot of weapons. They've had injuries. Yeah. So I'm scared. Matt Stafford, I think, is getting on the. I think he's almost out of his prime at the moment, honestly. So
yeah.
I'm a little scared there.
I still think he can do it. I think they've got a lot to figure out on both sides of the ball for sure. Patriots just signed Josh Gordon. He was at practice today, I think it was.
Yeah, he was at practice today. Wearing number 10, called that. Yeah. I was like, right when they cut Corey Coleman, I was like, yep, he's taking 10.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I was
number 10.
I should have had this. Actually, no, it would have been bad to have Steele on the show for this episode.
Oh, I refuse to do that.
Our designated Patriots and Josh Gordon truther, even before he went to the Patriots.
It was a perfect storm for Josh.
It really was.
And I hate it.
Like just all
I hate
the things,
everything about it.
All the things going through that man's head. It was but we were just spitting back and forth, and just be like, it would have been so funny if the Patriots traded Corey Coleman for Josh Gordon.
That would have been really funny.
Literally, a guy that had been cut by the Browns this year. But it was so weird how everything worked out in that whole trade. Like the Browns wanted they were happy with a 6th round pick. The Patriots didn't have a 6th round pick, so they just went ahead and give him a 5th round pick. No one else could have offered you a 5th or a 4th. I guarantee someone offered a 4th out there.
I know, and I don't understand that, because why would you want to help the Patriots in any way? Even I would take if it was my team, I would take a 7th round pick over a 6th round pick from another team other than the Patriots. Why do you feel like you need to help them?
Well, the funny thing is, I like how they were saying that they wanted to keep him out of the AFC. I was like, you're the Browns. What the hell do you have to worry about? It's not like you're going to be facing him in the AFC Championship game. You're not even going to be in the playoffs. So I really I didn't understand that at all. But
yeah, that was pretty funny. But do you think he's going to play?
Josh Gordon?
Yeah.
100%. I 100% think he's going to play. I think his routes are going to be very limited. I think maybe his snap count, very limited.
Yeah.
But I think he's on the right path. I think this is a perfect storm for the Patriots and Josh Gordon. I think Patriots get a weapon that they need and a wide receiver. Yeah. And Gordon, I think he goes to a culture that isn't the Cleveland Browns. So, literally the complete opposite of the Cleveland Browns and the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got the best quarterback he's ever played with.
That's such an understatement. It's not even funny. So
yeah, and I also think that it helps Gronkowski a lot. This past game with the Jaguars really hammered in the fact that they need someone to stretch the field, because Gronk was double teamed the whole time, and you saw what happened. He had 15 yards. Very, very dud week for Gronk. And that's because they weren't threatened by anyone else. None of the wide receivers stepped up and provided that.
Chris Hogan had 2 late touchdowns, but still.
That was it. I mean, that was all that you saw from him. And if you can keep Gronk in check, the Patriots offense is going to struggle.
Now they have this new weapon.
And now they have someone that you're going to have to pay attention to. You can't let him just take the top. I mean, even if he's just running streak routes the whole time, you can't let him get behind your safety and score a touchdown every time he does that.
Now we've kind of strayed off, and we've been more talking about how it's going to develop. Gordon's going to develop into that offense. Now, from a fantasy perspective, what do you expect of him the rest of the way?
I don't. I mean, I don't. He has one of the highest ceilings I've seen. people make the comparison to Randy Moss, and I think that is totally premature. But
agree.
But you get a very good offense like the Patriots. You get one of the best coaches of all time, if not the best coach of all time. You get all of those weapons. You put Josh Gordon in there as the field stretcher. I mean, he could have multiple long ball touchdowns a game. I mean, it's just I think that if you could find that person in your league that will give up, like we'll trade for him like he's a solid number one wide receiver, you trade him immediately. Because
I agree.
You're trading him at his ceiling, which is good.
Not necessarily.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, sure, you may, but if you're trading him for a number one wide receiver, you're getting something really good in return.
Yeah, okay, if you can go out and trade Gordon for AJ Green right now, I'd do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I could get Mike Evans, I'd do that. Those top tier guys that went in the top 10.
Because you're limiting your risk. I mean, there's so much risk involved with Josh Gordon, and he's coming into one of the hardest offenses to learn for a wide receiver mid-year. He's never even spoke to Tom Brady before. I mean, this is going to be completely new for him. It could go either way. To me, it's a lot of risk that if I'm trying to mitigate risk, I'm trying to trade him before anything even happens. If you can trade him at this inflated value, I'd say do it.
All right, I got you. Patriots running backs. Do you want any of them?
No. I mean, no.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Lions wide receivers, Marvin Jones, Golden Tate, Kenny Golladay. Who do you want? Rank them.
It's getting harder and harder to rank him because I really like what Kenny Golladay is doing. Golden Tate is his workload is solidified. Marvin Jones, I might move Kenny Golladay in front of Marvin Jones at this point. Marvin Jones hasn't showed me anything this year that shows that he's taken a step forward with this new offense and new coach. But Kenny Golladay has. He's continued. I mean, he's had a solid week every week. Matt Stafford is looking to him. I mean, he's building that trust. Stafford's a seasoned veteran. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and if he places that trust in a guy like Golladay, I think that would be that says a lot about him. So I'm probably going to go Golden Tate, Kenny Golladay this week, and Marvin Jones as number 3.
Gotcha. I'm taking the Patriots in this one.
I am also taking the Patriots, yeah.
All right, last matchup of the week, Steelers and Buccaneers, Monday Night Football.
They saved the best for last.
Still no Le'Veon Bell. They actually took him off any type of roster they had. They took him off their website, took him out of their program at the moment. So
it's so bad.
It's just a weird situation. Expect a heavy dose again from James Conner. Antonio Brown actually gave the Steelers fans a bit of a scare this weekend. Nothing really came of it. It was just kind of a perfect storm of him tweeting, then him missing practice on Monday for a personal reason. Antonio Brown, as much as he's frustrated, I don't expect him to leave the Steelers anytime soon. I expect a good week from fantasy, or a good week fantasy wise from the Steelers. I think Antonio Brown has a decent week. I think Juju has a good week. James Conner, I think they have good weeks. Now, on the other side of the ball, Buccaneers just cannot be stopped at the moment. Their offense is just firing on all cylinders. The only team hotter are the Chiefs at the moment. So, I mean, Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, Chris Godwin, they're all relevant right now. I think they're all. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick is dispersing the ball very, very well. The only thing you can really say in terms of that Buccaneers offense is they don't really have a running back, which, I mean, no one's really looking to start those running backs at the moment. No. So if they're pass catchers, go for it. All those wide receivers. O.J. Howard, I think, is a deep play just because his inconsistency. I haven't really seen that consistency from him yet.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick is very different from Jameis Winston in that regard, as how much he targets tight ends. Of course, O.J. Howard had almost all of his fantasy production in one play last week. And we saw the same thing, I think, twice last year, where however they're designing the plays, it just works out for him, and he breaks off like a 75, 80-yard touchdown.
Super talented. Like, literally,
yes.
He is Mike Evans playing tight end.
Yes, he is one of my favorite. I like him. I like him a ton. It's just, with Cameron Brate still being there and with Jameis Winston being very inconsistent, it's hard to put a lot on him now. Put a lot of expectation in him right now. But for the future, he's going to be good. He's going to be a really good tight end.
I expect him to. I'm just thrilled at just everything about the Bucs has like excited me this year because
it's been very exciting.
It's like all my takes have been like for the past couple years have been one, Chris Godwin I thought was the best wide receiver in that draft.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston I'll just go ahead and ask you this. I mean, this might be tough to hear at some point for a lot of Bucs fans. I mean, we've talked a little bit about it, but
yeah.
Do you think Jameis Winston starts another game for the Bucs ever?
I mean,
I feel like that question's got to be asked by someone eventually.
Yeah, honestly, it's
why not us?
Why not us? The window is closing very quickly on Jameis Winston. He's been suspended for 3 games this year. He was hurt last year, but when he played, he's had the same problems every year that he's played. It's turnovers and dumb mistakes, and they can't win. Ryan Fitzpatrick is playing out of his mind right now. I mean, he's playing on a whole
power of the beard, baby. Power of the beard.
I mean, he is playing at an entirely different level, and I don't know where this came from. I love it.
Conor McGregor power right there, baby.
God, he looks so much like Conor McGregor. It was hilarious. But he's definitely not starting when he gets back. Like week 4, he's not starting. You can't. If I said from the very beginning, if they win 2 out of the 3 first games, and even if the third one's a blowout, I still think Ryan Fitzpatrick gets to start because they want to win, and they're the best way that they can win right now is to roll with the quarterback who is throwing 400 plus yards a game and 4 touchdowns a game.
I will say other than maybe the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are kind of, I wouldn't say too surprising because I think the Chiefs still had a very good team that we saw they could do last year with Alex Smith and Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill and all those players. But I mean, if you're a Buccaneers fan, you are just like that. You can't think of a better start to a season. I mean,
no, I don't know. I've ever seen.
If they can pull this win off against the Steelers, I mean,
which should be their easiest matchup to date.
Yeah, wins against the Saints, Eagles, and Steelers right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's absolutely incredible. So that being said, who you got winning?
I have the Buccaneers.
I also have the Buccaneers.
Oh, nice.
I think they're going to really put it to the Steelers this week.
The Steelers have been really inept with the long ball, covering the long ball this year, and so
that defense is not good.
I hate to
anyway.
triple dip on Deshaun Jackson getting the 70-yard touchdown, but he could easily do it again. First play.
I will say in our league, obviously we've changed to the fab budget, and this week, I think Matt ended up with Deshaun Jackson.
Yes, he did.
How much because I think if I remember correctly, it's hard to find actually how much people bid. I think he went with a $15 bid.
Really?
What did you go with?
For my team, I really need running back, so I wasn't going to spend a lot on a wide receiver. I just put in $5.
I did $5 too. So
oh, okay.
I wonder. Oh no, I guess it goes by if 2 people have the same bid, I think it goes by record then.
Yeah, I think or points. Is it points scored or record?
I can't remember. Either way, Matt. Yeah. Matt outbid us.
I wasn't even close.
This is our first year doing fab, and I'm kind of hesitant to spend anything right now. I'm waiting for
that big one.
I'm waiting for the player to get injured, and Todd Gurley getting injured. We have to rush to pick up Mac Brown. Sorry. Anyway, moving on to starts and sits. I
dealt with David Johnson last year. I'm not doing that again.
We got to hurry. We're running long today. So starts and sits for the week. We'll each give you one. Quarterback position, go.
Start Blake Bortles versus Tennessee. He looked really good last week, and Tennessee is not doing great. I think that he's going to have a pretty good week against that defense, against the Tennessee defense. I'm going to sit Andrew Luck against the Eagles. That defensive matchup is just tough.
Yeah. I am going to roll with Ryan Fitzpatrick, keep that going.
Yeah.
I know people are still a little hesitant to start him just because of the name, but keep rolling him out. I love it. I'm going to sit Marcus Mariota. I expect him to play, but that Jaguars defense is going to murder him.
Also agree. Running back position, I'm going to start Corey Clement because I expect Jay Ajayi to miss against the Colts.
Jay Ajayi.
If Corey Clement's the only guy other than a practice squad, I mean, you have to roll him out there because he's a talented player. I'm going to sit Carlos Hyde against the New York Jets. I think the Jets actually have a decent defense, and Carlos Hyde has been if he doesn't get you that touchdown, it's just not really working out for him.
Yeah. Start of the week for me at the running back position, Jordan Howard. I expect them to force feed that man this week. I think they're going to get up with a lead and keep that lead. So Jordan Howard, I expect a big week here. Sitting Royce Freeman, I think the Ravens are going to really, really make it tough on Royce Freeman between the tackles. I think
he's not getting any targets in the passing game.
Exactly. Phillip Lindsay is going to be the benefactor of that happening.
Yep, I agree. Wide receiver position, I'm going to double dip on the Jaguars offense and go Keelan Cole. He's, like I said...
Love it!
Versus Tennessee, I think he's the most talented wide receiver that they have right now. Blake Bortles looks his way often, and he can really create the separation. The Titans' defense is not awesome, so I think that Keelan Cole has a pretty big week. As long as Blake,
and not to mention Malcolm Butler has given up the most yards and touchdowns too.
He is not good.
I said it. I've been saying it since the interception. I've been saying it since then. He's a bad football player.
He is not good. But we'll talk about that.
It don't matter. He got paid. It doesn't matter to him.
Yeah, definitely. Sit of the week. I'm going to stick in the same game and go Corey Davis. I have no faith that he is, especially if Blaine Gabbert plays at all.
We're eating up that Jags Titans game.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Tennessee. I mean, I'm just sorry. But Jalen Ramsey on Corey Davis, I want no part of that.
Yeah, I'm going to be starting Adam Thielen.
Yes.
I expect
you could have picked anyone on the Vikings.
Yeah,
offense.
I think that I think the Bills have some okay secondary players. I think they're going to be more focused on Stephon Diggs for reasons I don't know. I still think Adam Thielen is by far the better player.
Do you think Thielen's going to have a better week than Diggs?
Yes, 100%. That otherwise I would have put Diggs on here. But Adam Thielen all the way here. I'm going to sit Larry Fitzgerald. He's been dealing with an injury this week, and again playing a tough Bears team, and the fact that and his quarterback. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Tight end position. I'm going to start Jared Cook against the Dolphins. There's no reason why, if Amari Cooper's having a bad game, which I think we both agreed that we expect him to, Jared Cook is going to be targeted in any sort of PPR format. I have no problem starting Jared Cook. I'm going to sit Eric Ebron against the Eagles. Yes, he has scored touchdowns, but that will be hard to come by against the Eagles defense.
Yeah. I'm going to be starting Austin Seferian-Jenkins, ASJ, again, sticking in that Jags lineup. Yeah. I expect him to actually be the red zone just hog in this game. I don't think the Titans can handle that. Moncrief, I do expect him to be kind of hit or miss, but Seferian-Jenkins, I think that's the guy they want to throw to in the red zone. I'm going to be sitting Jordan Reed. Packers, as you mentioned earlier, they've handled tight ends very well this year, and they've been good tight ends. Trey Burton, Kyle Rudolph. Yeah. Now they got Jordan Reed. I expect the Packers to handle them or handle him as well.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Defense, I've got two because one is dumb. Vikings versus the Bills, because why wouldn't you?
I had them at first, and then I erased them.
Yeah, because that one's just too obvious. I'm actually going to play the Seahawks defense against Dallas.
Ooh, interesting.
Yes, it's very.
I don't know if I agree with that, but
no,
so
I totally understand why, because the Seahawks defense is not what it used to be. But I also don't have a lot of faith in Dak, and I think they get. My prediction is 2 interceptions in that game. So I'm going to start the Seahawks defense. I'm going to sit the Saints defense against the Falcons. I think the Falcons win that game at home, and the Saints defense, yes, they looked atrocious in Week 1 against the Buccaneers, and some people thought they just, kind of underestimated the power of the beard. But I think that they're actually really struggling on the defensive side of the ball to find their identity. And Atlanta's offense looks pretty high functioning with Julio Jones and the now emerged Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, buddy. Starting the Bears defense, again, I think they keep this rolling. Yeah. And again, Cardinals not a good offense at the moment. So I expect Bears to have a very, very good week. Maybe even better than the Vikings, as you were alluding to a second ago. I'm going to sit the Panthers defense against the Bengals. Again, I think the Bengals are really getting things together on offense, and the Panthers, even though they've been a big name on defense in the past, and they're still a good defense, I don't think they're as dominant as they once were. So, I guess to go back through these real quick, my starts were Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jordan Howard, Adam Thielen, Austin Sperry-Jenkins, and the Bears defense. Who'd you have?
I like that Bears defense pick. My starts were Blake Bortles, Corey Clement, Keelan Cole, Jared Cook, and the Seattle defense.
And our sits were Marcus Mariota, Royce Freeman, Larry Fitzgerald, Jordan Reed, and the Panthers defense.
And I had Andrew Luck, Carlos Hyde, Corey Davis, Eric Ebron, and the Saints defense.
And the crazy part about these starts and sits, we didn't even talk about them before the show. We didn't overlap once.
No.
I was very surprised. I thought we were going to have some, especially since we were agreeing on half of these matchups today. So, that's going to be all for today. We will be posting the starts and sits on Twitter at the 423 Football later today. So make sure you keep up with that. Definitely want to see the rest of those. We will be back next week. Again, I don't know how the work schedule is going to play out, but we're both going to try to be here for both episodes. We'll figure it out as we go. We'll keep you guys up to date. So good luck with your matchups in Week 3. Again, make sure you follow us on Twitter at the 423 Football. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Give us a like. Leave your comments and reviews. Share us with the world. Thanks for listening. We are the 423 Football Podcast.
Peace.